now we're sort of blasting along comfortably on the foil. Let's talk about jibing. So the entry into the jibe is pretty similar to how you'd enter a jibe on a normal sail. You're going to want to take your foot out of the back foot out of the foot strap, bring it onto the other side of the board, and here you can actually sheet in, like squeeze the sail in the same way you would on a normal jibe.
So what is very important on the entry, you are in the front foot strap, and before you want to start the jibe, you take out the back foot strap, and with the sail is coming the impact of entering in the jibe and sailing away from the wind. For the beginning, you are not railing the board. As Adam said, the carving comes from the movement of the sail. So you're putting the sail back, and this will change the direction of the nose of your board away from the wind. But it's very important that you are not railing the board. If you start railing the board at the beginning, you can just do this when you're getting better. If you start railing the board will flip and will accelerate. So it's very important that the board stays straight, and you'll make a wide curve, not a small one, a wide curve, and it's very important that the curve is very constant. You are not looking on the small waves in front of you. You just pass them because you're flying over them. At the first jibes, after going in the jibe, you will go lower, 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 and then you start touching. And while you're touching the water, you will get security. And you go more far away from the wind. And as you can feel, there's no pressure in the sail anymore. You can swap the sail, and while swapping the sail, you take out the front foot strap and change the foot position like on a normal board. At this point, you will barely stop, so you will not be planing anymore. But this is the first time.
So as Vincent said, you're starting the jibe with your sail position, and the carving wants to be kind of steady and gentle. You don't want to really be leaning the board and the foil over aggressively, especially at the start. So like I said, you're leaning it over, and as the board starts turning away from the wind, as it gets to be around sort of, 90 degrees, kind of away from the wind, you're going to start turning. And this is when you want to think about, personally, I like to change my feet before I think about flipping the sail. So especially on the wider boards, it's kind of easier that you get your feet across. So as you're leaning over, starting not really carving the board, but kind of just letting it slowly and steadily turn away from the wind. The foot change doesn't need to be perfect, but you just want to be getting your feet into a position, not necessarily right in the foot strap, but just in a position that you're kind of able to control the board as it's carving, and you're transferring as you're coming around this way onto your heels, that you're able to just sort of control the foil and control the board. Don't go for that perfect straight into the foot strap foot change straight away. You can sort of progressively build that up, and then you're going to obviously flip the sail and think about then sort of gathering speed and starting to fly again the other side of the jibe. So for your first jibes, what you're actually going to do is kind of carefully start to initiate the jibe, and you're almost sort of slowing down as you're going around, and then kind of gently go for that touch down. Because of the fact you're actually going to kind of touch down during the jibe, what's really important, especially at the start, is to kind of have your knees a little bit more bent and kind of in a reactive position, ready to react to kind of touching down, and the board obviously slowing because you're starting to get drag from the board touching the water surface. As well, it's really important to kind of try and have your feet central to the board, that you're kind of then ready not to rail the board either way. As you're starting to progress on the foil and you start to move onto smaller and smaller, narrower boards, what you might find is that as you're coming around the jibe, you can actually leave your feet inside the straps, especially when you have sort of those more central positions, slightly more inboard foot strap positions. You'll be able to carve the board a little bit more and keep turning the board round, flip the sail, keeping the board sort of on the foil, and then changing your feet around like that, and like that you can stay on the foil the whole time.